Hey guys, Luxker here. Today we are going to be talking about figures again. This time we are going to be talking about the Xeno series figures. We're not going to be doing a tier list this time. We're actually going to be discussing the figures when they show up. There's been at least 120 Xeno series figures that have been shown off or documented in other places like My Figure Collection. This is where I'm getting all these figures from, is from the My Figure Collection website. The pages are arranged from Xenogears, Xenosaga, and Xenoblade. It's a good variety of figures here, and there's a lot of them. But I'm not doing this on my own though. I am joined by the most well-known Xeno figure collector and curator, Watte! Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, I'm Watte, Watte TV. Also Wattepon as a VTuber. I, do a no pun VTuber. And yeah, I curate so many figures. Some which surprisingly are not on the list on My Figure Collection, but I definitely have a lot. I'd say I passed Mr. Xeno Collector last year, who said himself that he does not have as many, so definitely going to be an interesting thing to look through all the figures today.
Oh yeah, for sure. I believe Mr. Xeno Collector was responsible for putting some of these figures on My Figure Collection, was he?
He did, but he also has his own website as well. I believe he's based out, not to like drop where he is, but I think he's in Sweden. We used to be friends for a long time, and then ironically, like, I was looking for some stuff on eBay for, I don't know why, what reason, but I guess he had listed some spare stuff, and then I messaged him and we started talking, and then I found him in Discord, and so like now we've been talking more recently the last year or so. But it's interesting because like I just sort of found him again in passing, but we sort of have always crossed paths in the past, so it's interesting that it's like always running into the same person, but it makes sense just because he's always been like a big, figure in the sense of like collecting.
A big figure? Get it?
Wah, wah,
For real. Alright, so let's go lay down some ground rules. On the My Figure Collection website, there's a variety of figures, as well as goods and media, which we won't be discussing in this particular video. But I will talk about the official Xeno merchandise one of these days, because I have a few Xeno series merchandise, but not really Xeno figures and whatnot. We also won't go over garage kits. Now, some of these are garage kits, and if you don't know what a garage kit is, it's basically like an unofficial figure that you have to create yourself. They almost always are unpainted, and you have to paint them yourself. And you have to also curate, sand, and glue the resin together as well. It is a lot of work, but also a fantastic and rewarding hobby. But we won't get into a lot of garage kits because they are very rare to find. And I don't think many people will be interested except for some of the people who like how garage kits look when they are finished, but just don't have the time to put into them like myself. But we will be going over all the scale figures, trading figures, model kits, and action figures. I hope this is a pretty great video for you guys to look at. If you haven't checked out my content already, definitely check out my Cosmos tier list that I also did with Watte, which will be in the card and in the description of this video. Please also like, subscribe, comment, and hit that notification bell for future updates on videos. It will also help if you can share these videos around. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started here.
Yeah, anticipation.
Yeah, for real though. So let's start with the Xenogears figures first, because there hasn't been a lot of them. But just recently, there has been a whole slew of Xenogears figures made by Bring Arts. Bring Arts are an action figure company for the most part, but they sell these figures for pretty cheap. I think they usually sell for $80, I believe, right?
Yeah, usually from like the 80 to 120 range.
Yeah, 80 from 120.
It sort of varies because like Bring Arts is like, so Bring Arts is a newer series to Square Enix. For those who are familiar with Square Enix, they had Play Arts Kai. Bring Arts is actually more interesting because they have like some Final Fantasy IX, some Final Fantasy Tactics. They're actually a higher quality because we're used to the Play Arts Kai where they've got like tons of joints and fully articulated, and like I tend to not like those because they're like the Figma. But the Bring Arts are actually really much nicer quality, but they have less articulation is the thing. But it's a newer series. I think last year or this last year or so that they've actually been putting these out. So they do have articulation, but like if you look at something like Faye or like Maria, they have like way lesser joints placed, but they look cleaner.
That is for sure. So going into the Faye figure, like you said, there isn't a lot of joints to these. Pretty much you see the joints right in the arms and even with the head. I like what Bring Arts does with these too. Did you say that Bring Arts is owned by Square Enix?
Yeah, it's like a line of
it's
figures.
A line.
Yeah, so it's like a type of figure. So like Final Fantasy IX is Bring Arts, like they've been using them, like that was their first set of Bring Arts is coming out, like Freya and Vivi and all of them. And then they had Final Fantasy Tactics, War of the Lions, which was their next set, and then Xenogears was also done, so they were all sort of done around the same time. And Bring Arts is still like an existing series. It's just the style of them is it is articulation, but it's not to the extent of like Play Arts Kai. I see, at least to me, quality wise, or at least as a figure collector, I tend to like statues more. So like this is sort of the in between like a statue and a Play Arts Kai, or like it's like, you know, it's not so articulated, but it's not like statue, so it's like in between. It's a good balance. I've always felt like the quality of them has always looked really nice to me.
Yeah, I definitely agree. They definitely did well with the quality here. You can pose them whenever you want to and whatnot. I don't think you can do this with the figure alone. No, I don't think it comes with a stand, but it does come with, like, you can pose the legs however you want to. Like, you can just do a lot of stuff.
Most of them should have stands, I think, but they're clear, I think.
I think with this Faye one right here, you can change where his hair is going and stuff in the back of his head. Like, it's pretty cool. Bring Arts did pretty cool stuff here. You can change the faces as well. I think this is the one
where they included the can. If anybody knows the can.
Yeah, oh, yeah. There's the can there.
Oh, God.
Our favorite can.
Yeah.
If you don't know what that is, that's a pretty big spoiler for Xenogears. Actually, yeah, you know what? Spoiler warning, guys. Yeah, the can is basically soy green, or basically people, okay?
Silent Green is people!
Nutritious.
Oh, it does come with a stand. So you can pose them however you want to. Yeah. This is pretty cool on what they did here. I like what Square Enix and Bring Arts did here in particular. I have one that is new in box, so I want to try to display it however I can, so...
They're really good. Like, they just look like... It's not so... There's aren't cuts and joints so much where, like... It takes away from the presentation. Like Ellie's leg joints look pretty, like obvious it's a joint, right? But like it's not so much to where it doesn't take away from the presentation. Like I feel like sometimes some of the Square Enix's other figures, like the Play Arts, has so many joints that it looks like there's clearly balls joints everywhere. These are not as, you know, overwhelming in that aspect.
These definitely don't feel overwhelming. Like, I just like the look of these in general, but it would be nice just to have scale figures, especially for Ellie. But, like, the Bring Arts figures are just a good step up. And once we get to the gears themselves, it will really show because it would look pretty fantastic, so...
Yeah.
The stand here kind of looks like Ellie looks captured or something. It looks kind of funny, just the way it looks here, so...
Yeah, no, their stands are pretty much generic. Like, they all sort of look the same.
That's not a really bad thing. Like, let's go back to Faye, actually. Like, with Faye's stand, oh yeah, it does look like he got captured as well, but it isn't that noticeable as, like, with Ellie, because it is around his waist.
Because a lot of the Final Fantasy ones, the Play Arts Kais have a similar stand, actually. A lot of my Final Fantasy 13 figures have the same stand. It's a little weird.
Whereas the Ellie one is kind of like under her boobs a little bit. It's like right in the middle of her chest. It kind of looks weird to me, like she got captured. I don't know if you need to use the stand to have her stand upright. I'm not sure. I haven't taken mine out of the box because I also have a Bring Arts Ellie figure. It's just that I don't have the time to properly display it. Which you don't even need to use the stand though. But it has a wide variety of hand poses, different faces. She has a rod and her pistol as well. I would say it's pretty nice if you're just a Xeno series figure collector. This is just pretty nice just as an action figure in general. It would be nice to have a scale as well. Like, look, that looks pretty cool.
The thing is like Square Enix really, I think only other than The World Ends With You, like they don't, because they have a Neku Sakuraba scale, they often don't do scale figures actually. So like that's I don't know, that's the thing that's like sort of, you know, Square Enix holding on to Xenogears is like that's gonna be a thing, is like there's not gonna be like scale figures unfortunately like that way.
That's such
so,
a
one
shame
day.
though.
Yeah, but they're more like they're probably gonna just continually release like Bring Arts or something like that. I'm trying to think of all the years. The only ones that they really have are the Meister figures, like Terra from FF6, like that are like the really ultra expensive, you know, like $1,000 figures, or like the Renoa or the Aerith that they did, which are like the masterpiece type ones. Those are scaled because they're like crafted, but a majority of like their common, more accessible figures, none of them are scales.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, so it's just the thing with Square Enix.
Yeah. Square Enix gotta Square Enix sometimes. I mean, I am glad Xeno figures exist because they're nice to have for fans in general, so...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I personally am excited about Maria's.
Next
That's
is...
what I'm excited
Yeah,
for.
that is what we're getting to next is Maria. She... Like, immediately when I saw that they were releasing this back in February, I just had to buy it. It looks fantastic as just a regular Bring Arts figure in general. There's not a lot of joints to it. There's a little on the legs here, but it's not really noticeable. It even is coming with our friend Choo Choo! Yay!
Some people saw that as a deterrent. They're like, I don't know if I want to buy because Choo Choo cousin Maria.
Oh god,
I was
no!
like, man, that's messed up. I was like, do it for Maria.
Yeah, just do it for Maria. Choo Choo can just be thrown in the garbage if you think so. But I think Choo Choo is worth having as well. But we have, like, what? 4 out of the 9 party members of Xenogears as figures now? I say that as just a nice bonus, really, so...
I recently, like, I think as recent as last year, I did my... everyone knows, like, I have a long sorted history with, like, Xenogears, because there's that whole Xenogears Xenosaga back then fandom issue thing. So I actually only officially beat Xenogears 100, like, fully last year, and we did, like, a voiceover, like, voice-acted playthrough. I did it, and, people thought it was weird because I kept taking Choo Choo everywhere Maria was all the time, and I was like, well, it's canon, like, you know, like, they're together all the time and stuff. But, like, I always found it interesting because I didn't have that distaste of Choo Choo as much as everybody else. But, I mean, it was my first time fully beating it. I think I stopped at Disc 2 when I first played it years ago, like a while back. And then when I got to Disc 2, I was like, okay, I'm going to finish it this year. So
which is a good thing.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird because it was the only Xeno game I hadn't beaten yet. Like, at this point, it was right before Xenoblade 3. And because we knew that, you know, at the time everybody's speculating there was some sort of correlation of like theory, not the characters, but like something, you know, how they always reference stuff in a way. So like at that point I was like, I have to do it before Xenoblade 3. So, but by far Maria was one of my favorite storylines.
I'm glad that she got a figure. I really hope we get like all the rest of the Xenogears characters in here. I especially hope we get a Myong or like a Ramses figure. Or like Krellian. Krellian is pretty popular. I hope we get a Krellian figure as well.
Yeah.
Like, these Bring Arts figures look like they are pretty expensive figures, so I would say they are pretty worth it for the Xenogears fans to have. They are nice looking. There's nothing wrong with them.
I'm wondering...
Depending on what you think on Choo Choo, though.
Yeah, I'm wondering how much. I think they're actually pretty pricey. Bring Arts are more pricier. I think Maria's like $160, I think. Let me look.
Oh.
Yeah, Maria and Choo-Choo are 160. So
Ah,
they're higher
yeah.
up there. Yeah. But they also are doing like Trials of Mana and like Nier. So
Oh
like
yeah,
it's
I
like
saw
they're
Trials
usually
of Mana ones too. So
yeah. So like these are like more than Player at Sky, but it depends because like the Faye and Ellie one were less, and it may be just because Maria and Choo-Choo are together, so they consider it two characters, so that might be the price difference. But yeah, they run around 100 or so.
yeah. Oh, I love this. This is cute.
Yeah, it's really good, and like you can't really see the joints. That's what I love about Bring Arts is like it just feels so alive and animated, but like the joints aren't enough to sort of get in that way of like how the figure presents itself. So that's just something that's really cool.
Oh, that's cute. That is pretty cute. Like, yeah, I agree. Having Maria in here is really nice. Oh, look at her peg Choo-Choo there. That's pretty cute. Ah, that's just really adorable.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely looking forward to her sometime this month. I hope to make a YouTube short or something saying that I got her in the mail or something like that. So look forward to that, guys. And then next we have is Bart. I am definitely looking forward to getting Bart as well. And I am pretty sure a lot of Xenogears fans are looking forward to getting Bart as well. I think it's like a 2024 release, assuming.
Yeah, it's a ways off, yeah, because they barely showed the prototype not too long ago. It's usually within like the year
same time
after.
as the Maria and Choo-Choo reveal as well. But with the Bart
Yeah.
one, this is fantastic. I think this is a lot better than Faye's. Just looking from the detail on the pants and the jacket, and even his hair looks really nice. I hope we can customize his hair too. But this looks awesome. I think a lot of people would be looking forward to this.
I think the
Like, if we can change his arms and maybe use his whip too, that would be really cool.
yeah, I think the Ellie and the Faye were earlier Bring Arts, so they aren't as nicer as like some of the later ones that have come out. I think they were some of the earlier, but yeah, they look really
Yeah. Can't wait. Can't wait for that to make my wallet die.
good.
Real quick, before we get to the gears, I want to go ahead and show these off. I believe these figures were made in the late 90s, I believe.
I think they were also blind box, weren't they? Aren't they like
Blind box.
not blind box,
Yeah,
but like
blind
but, like
box.
little
Yeah, they were like
figures.
blind box figures that were released in the late 90s. There is one of Ellie especially. I think it's this one. Yeah, I believe it was this one that was released for the limited edition for the Xenogears soundtrack, I believe, or something.
I think it was. Oh, this is Bart and Ellie. Okay, I know which ones these are. They had a special set. It's like a box. It's like harder to find now, but it was a Millennium collection.
Oh
around,
yeah, Millennium
like,
Collection.
Yeah, around like the 2000s, which is around the time of like Xenosaga 2002, I believe. Around the 2000s, they called them a Millennium Collection, and they re-released games. And when they released the games with a special disc, they also inside the package released a figure along with those. And both Bart and Ellie were in two different variations. But they had different variations of boxes that you could buy, but it was the same game. But they were like Millennium.
Now I have a
versions.
question. Does Mr. Xeno Collector guy have these figures?
That's a good question. The most I saw on like what he had was Xenosaga. I didn't even really see like very
I
much
see.
Blade stuff. So I know that
Or
he doesn't have
Gears.
like the newer Blade, Blade or Gears. Because Blade, I asked him, I was like, well, have you been getting the newer ones? And he hasn't really. So I don't know if he's just sort of like, you know, he holding off on it. I don't know what his like decision is on that, but I know predominantly his collection's Saga, like the biggest part of it.
Yeah, and these are like 1/12 scale, but
Yeah, no,
they're
that sounds
really
about right.
small though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 6 inches.
It's about
really
the size
small.
of yeah, it's about the size of maybe a little taller than some of the trading figures for Xenosaga. A little
But
bit
I
taller.
just wanted to show them off because they're a nice thing to show off for anyone that is curious. There's just no way to get them nowadays.
Yeah, it's hard to find them, especially if you're like a collector, because like the boxes that they used were paper boxes, not even like cardboard, like they're thin paper. So a lot of the times those Millennial boxes they get squashed, like it's just so easy to crush
man.
them. Yeah, so like the only thing that prevented them from like truly getting trashed is that inside they have like that I don't know what they call, you know, the plastic they put the figures in, like it's like a hard plastic that's like a shell. Yeah, that's what it's called, a shell. The shell casing, that's the only thing keeping that box like from being smushed. So often you'll see a lot of them damaged because it's like, you know, the figures maybe you'll survive, but like the games tend to get beat up because they're like right in the front and there's no hard box to protect any of it. So that's why they're hard to find, because a lot of people just can't store them.
Yeah, that's kind of a shame in that regard. And yeah, we are done with the character figures, so let's go ahead and move on to the gears themselves. Which originally they were like, I thought they were like model kits, but now I see them better. Now that I see them better, they're really just regular action figures. Like, there is nothing too special about them, which is kind of neat, actually.
Yeah, it's weird because like Faye's gears, specifically this one and then the other, they both are pre-painted and done. But like the Zybezen and some of the other model figures, those, even though they show them in color, they actually come in black and white.
Yeah,
so, like,
they do.
That's what was really confusing for me, was because like they have colored pictures, but they're not colored. So I was like, they don't really disclose that. And so like, just fair warning for everybody out there buying them. These two, the ones that are being shown now, are like pre-painted, but the other four are not. So just a heads up, if you're buying them and you expect us to put them together and put them on display, they're going to be grayscale.
Yeah. You'll have to paint them yourself if you want them to look good. Which there will definitely be instructions for them if you want to check them out, so... Yeah, it has gotten some really cool poses to them. Yeah, similar to the Faye one, it is, like, really cool. I don't have the Weltall or the other one that is coming up next. But yeah, these are really cool just to show off, so...
Those are pretty expensive, like especially is pretty expensive. So like even in like yen, I think it's like
let's see, it's 8,080 yen. But that is different nowadays because of inflation, so...
Well, that's why I'm saying it's easier to import than it is to buy on the Square Enix store, because I believe it's way more expensive on the Square Enix store.
Oh gosh.
Because like they don't convert yen, so it like for example, Good Smile, right? Like they have a U.S. store and a global store. The global store ships internationally. I could buy like Cosmos, actually Melia. We'll use Melia as an example. Melia was like 130 when she came out from that store. In the U.S., she was around like 200 after everything was said or done. So there's like the U.S. stores don't convert. They don't have an equivalency of like money difference. So you can actually buy sometimes from the Japan store and they ship internationally and it's cheaper. Because I think Weltall is like around 200.
Yeah.
Right? Something like that. And then like
$200.
Yeah, and then like in yen, it's like 50 or 60 bucks less. So like that's just a little tip for anybody who might be trying to.
And I have done that before too, so it's really nice to know that. Yeah. All right, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't played Xenogears yet, because next up we have Weltall id. It is, I like id itself. I hope that we would get id character bring arts figure. But this one is just freaking awesome. But this one is cool as well. It is really huge too, a lot bigger than Weltall. Probably why it is so expensive.
That's what happens when you get the power. He's like, do you desire power? And then that's what happens, you get twice as big.
But that's Groff actually, but it has a lot of power as well, so... Yeah, I think the Gears ones especially are like, if you're into the Gundam style and you're looking for something or anything cheap, and not want to have to spend the time to build a Gundam, this would just be nice to display out here, and it would be really cool to see. Of course, they aren't as great in quality, but like, I guess you can just put them somewhere with your Gundams. I'd say I don't know.
There's so many Gundams.
I'm sure this is somewhere in Takahashi's office, even though he isn't affiliated with Square anymore. So maybe he just wanted to pick up the Weltall and id up without even telling them. But I never, cool.
After sort of a spoiler, but not spoiler, so spoiler, I guess, disclosure for Xenoblade 3 DLC. After what happened there, I don't put it out of I never put it out of my mind that the potential of things to be connected in the future. You know what I mean? Because like you never know, because like business relationships always get reevaluated all the time.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
I will never be like no to, in my head at least, that is not possible. You know, so especially after the
Right,
last
right.
thing so that they did. So you never know.
And then we have Zeebsen. It's really bulky too, just seeing Zeebsen here just showing itself off. And this is Maria's gear as well. Like, it's a huge
Yeah.
size difference compared to
Yeah.
Weltall.
I sort of want to get both because I wonder what scale, if Maria's like you could set her on top of it, but I don't know how big he is compared to Maria. But I was like, it's always a cool thing.
You can probably fit the Maria figure just like right here where his engines are in the back right here.
Yeah.
You would just have to be good with the angle. But we don't see Maria on here
Mhm.
anyways, but it would be nice to know.
Just a little Maria you could stick on the shoulder, just like a little, you know.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah, I like Zeebsen. It's really well articulated. And then we go to Vierge. I think this was talked about in Perfect Works. I think it was Kinohiko Tanaka or one of the Gears designers talking about wanting a Vierge figure coming out. I don't know if it was a Vierge or another one, but I think there is one that is coming out. But it is just in pre-production phase now. But yeah, I can't wait to see what the Vierge one looks like. It would be really cool to see.
Yeah, I know that they had those. They only have it in structure arts, right? Like there's like that set of figures you can buy that's in structure arts. And that's the thing, they show it painted there too, and it's like it's also not painted, but like maybe they provide like a guide of like what paint to buy and what the colors are or something.
So yeah, here's Brigadier here. It looks to be a model kit again, so yeah. You would have to tear pieces off and put them together and paint it, so...
Yeah, those are their structure kits. But I think they sold in a box or whatever. I think they're sold out now because I think Square Enix clearanced them out. You can still find them, but I'm pretty sure that like they were like they're the same way as those Kotobukiya Xenosaga kits. Those that you have to sand and stuff like that because of the gates that they're on. Yeah, they're nice though.
Yeah, they are really cool, with it being fully colored and whatnot. Yeah, there hasn't been a painted version as far as I know, so...
I mean, that's part of the fun because you can do a lot of like, especially the Gundam community that does that too, where they like add weathering effects to where it makes it look like they've rusted a little, or you can add like all sorts of stuff. So it's cool to customize. Like, I think it's great for those who want to mess with their artistic side, and they're not so expensive that like if you screw something up that you're like, oh my gosh,
Right.
you know. So like, that's the plus, you know.
And here's the Weltall one right here. It's the model kit version, but I think it looks just as good as the Bring Arts figure, if I am being quite honest. Sure, there is much more detail and the joints aren't as noticeable, but I like how this looks. Of course, you have to paint it, that's the only thing you need to do, but it looks really nice just when you're done painting it. Just from these pictures alone, these look fantastic. Okay, here's the Vierge model kit. I don't know if I've seen anybody that makes videos and that is into model kit painting just showing these off in person and showing these off. Hope we can get something like that one of these days.
Yeah, they sold them as like a set. It comes in like a larger box. A fellow streamer I know actually has them, and I think they paid $80 for them, but it comes with like 4 of them. But they're like in a box, like a larger box, and they all just come in there, and you have to build them all. But I originally only knew about them because they had told me because they were building some on stream. So I've seen them build them, but I haven't seen like the final product. But
Wow, that's cool. So here's Heimdall here. Yeah, wow. This looks really nice with the sword
Yeah.
there, with the pose there and stuff. Yeah, if you are into doing hobby work with these model kits and a fan of just painting model kits in general, this will look very good once you get them fully done. The Xenogears one especially looks awesome. Like, honestly, just as a model kit alone, it looks fantastic. So I can't wait to see what it looks like painted up. Unfortunately, I don't have the tools to paint model kits or anything, but I hope I can commission somebody one of these days to paint these model kits if I ever get them. Because I would love to have a Xenogears one if I can ever get them.
yeah, and it's harder too because like a lot of people think it's like it's the little deceiving in a way because like for example, like Gundam markers, like you can only use them on certain types of plastics. So like in the instruction guides of like different things, like the Siren, for example, from Xenoblade, it tells you what each runner's type of plastic is, and the reason why that matters is because certain paints can crack certain plastics, and certain Gundam markers, if you like want to like do weather distressing and stuff, cracks it. So it becomes a problem because like you don't want to use a marker on like plain PVC that'll break it because basically you'll assemble it and it'll basically crack your kit and you can't salvage it. So it's a little trickier. Like you have to learn a lot about the hobby before. And it's not that it's difficult. Like if you want to get into it, go for it. Like I'm just saying that like you got to make sure you're doing your research on your materials because since it's, create your own, you're going to be responsible for your paint and, any materials that you use on it and it being something that doesn't eat away at the specific type of plastic that you're working with. Yeah.
Actually, these are called structure arts figures, not bring arts figures. Yeah, they have a different line because they're a part of a model kit series. Here's Ren Mazuo. This looks nice, like the other model kits. These look pretty cool. It has Ren Mazuo's guns. Yeah, this looks nice.
The coolest thing about Xenogears is they're so, like, it's
weird.
Xenogears
gears are just made to be like Gundam in general, so...
They're like a product of their time though. Like they have a very distinct look of their time. Like it's very hard to like describe it. Like Japan that had like an era of like mechs in that certain era. You can just see the certain types of influences. So they've got that very classic mech vibe feel, which is really cool.
Yeah. And last up we have Crescents. I mean, there isn't much to the model kit, but I think this may be the easiest model kit to do. Just from the look of it. I may be wrong here. There's just this little mask piece as well that you can put on it. Yeah, this is pretty simple to even make. There's not a lot of joints to it. You just have the wings here, so it might be easy. You'll never know, so...
I imagine each one of those fingers, though, if you look at the joints on its hands, I think that each one of those might be a ball joint. So I think, see how this finger's up there? So those clamp around. So I think that there's actually more joints than it meets the eye. I don't think it's hard to do at all, absolutely not. But I think that it probably has a lot of pieces, probably. Because you have to snap all of those on the joints. And then the smaller pieces, you have to watch out because if they're not correct, then it messes with the articulation, like on the ball joint, how they move. So you might have like a little bit of an issue getting sometimes, those pieces to flow right. But yeah, you're right. It doesn't seem like it's too complicated. It's just repetitive because it's literally the same ball joint on all those fingers. So it's like same process, just a lot of it, the same thing, replication.
Glad to have you to tell me that if I am ever going to get one of these days.
Yeah, I don't think they're hard. It's just it's a hobby that takes time.
Yeah, it does. I have seen a few model kit building videos and that you just need to be patient with them. And just follow the instructions and just hope you do well with them. So, I am definitely hoping one of these days that I can get the Xenogears one and just have somebody commission and paint it so I don't have to do it myself. Like you said about the Gundam markers and ruining resin, it is something you can get an airbrush to do. Like, I know with the Siren figure, you can use the airbrush, so...
Yeah, that's the thing with the paints. You need to know, like, what paints run, or which ones you need to have sealed. Like, there's, like, a whole thing on it. But, yeah, I mean, I also looked into that avenue, too. Because, really, unless you have ventilation and stuff, like airbrushing, you need, like, a pump to airbrush. Like, it's, like, a whole thing. So, yeah, I would... If you don't know how to airbrush or you aren't getting into airbrushing, then, yeah, I would have somebody commissioned it. Because you actually need actual equipment to run all of that. That, like, underneath you need, like, a thing to power it, and it's like a whole thing. So
yeah, and it can get pretty expensive, and you need some space to use the airbrush, like a well ventilated space.
Yeah,
which in my cramped little apartment there is not really a lot to do and stuff.
I'd have to decide with kicking out all the...
You just have to go to somebody's garage and use that space. So
I'd have to kick out my figures to get the space to paint the figures, because I also don't have that much space.
Oh, what can you do?
Right.
Alright, everyone. I think this is a good place to stop the Xenogears figure discussion. please tune in for the following parts where Watte and I will be talking about the Xeno Saga and Xenoblade figures. In fact, go ahead and follow and subscribe to Watte on his other platforms and on YouTube, where he has a gallery video going through all of his Xeno series collection. So please check that video out if you can, along with his other endeavors. So anyways, thanks guys for watching. Remember to subscribe and hit that like button on my videos, as well as share my videos around and hit that notification bell to be updated on further Xeno series videos coming in the future. And until next time guys,
See you on the other side!